All right. Hello and good afternoon. Welcome to Tuesday, Notary Titans for Tuesday, March 21st, 2023. My name is Bill Soroka, and I'm on a mission to help you serve 1,000 more customers this year. I'm here with my fabulous co-host, Laura Biewer. Laura, how's it going?
Fantastic. It's a super fantastic Tuesday. I'm Laura, and I have founded Coach Me Laura, and my mission is to ensure that you're confident and competent in whatever product or service you provide.
Awesome, Laura. And when people want to reach you and participate with your inner circle call, where can they find you?
They can go to my website and book a Saturday. It's 8 to 9 a.m. Pacific time every Saturday morning. And I do limit to 20 seats so that I can do a thorough job of answering. Nobody feels rushed. And we can enjoy our cup of coffee and some good talk.
Awesome. And I posted that link inside the chat for you, coachmelaura.com. Just hit the button that says schedule a call, and you can schedule that time on Saturday mornings with Laura. Now, Laura, we've got two special guests again, or special hosts, co-hosts again with us this week for the entire month of March. The first, Matt Miller, founder of California League of Independent Notaries. Matt, welcome, and would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Thanks, Bill. Happy to be here. Again, my name is Matt Miller, president of the California League of Independent Notaries, and we are an advocacy organization that strives to make your voice heard on policy decisions that affect you and your business. To find out more, go to calnotaries.org. You can also join there, and for a limited time while supplies last, when you sign up as an advocate member, you will receive a free copy of Bill Soroka's new best-selling book, The Notary Business Building Challenge.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Matt. Welcome, and appreciate you taking your time. And of course, our next special co-host, Judy Lawrence, Queen of Apostille, founder of the Lawrence Institute for Notaries. Judy, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. And I love being here. And I appreciate you and Laura asking me to be here. I am from Philadelphia, as many of you know, the city of brotherly love. And I do a lot of apostille work. I teach apostilles, and I do general notary work or specialty notary work. And I am an author, and I'm just happy to be in the part of this wonderful notary community.
Well, we're right there with you. You're in good company, Judy. We love this heart-driven community for sure. Now, if you're just joining us for TNT, I could start counting up the years of experience that you have at your disposal today, but I'm going to stop there. Just trust that there is a lot of experience when it comes to starting, growing a business, mobile notary business on top of that, loan signings, apostille. Three of our co-hosts today are experts in apostille: Laura, Matt, and Judy. So any question you have about that opportunity, growing that business, whether or not it's right for you, this is the time to bring those questions. Not to mention, Judy has a physical location in Philadelphia. If you have questions about what it takes to have a physical location, if you want to start an organization, if you're not satisfied with the fees that your state allows, Matt is a great resource for advocating and starting the process to change that. Laura has a physical location in Modesto, plus, I think, are we at 18 years now of experience as a mobile notary? She's on mute, of course. She's a goody two shoes that way. She keeps herself on mute. 19 years as a notary, plus really focuses at NBB, teaching the success mindset, what it takes to build and sustain a business for that long. And of course, I've been through 26 business failures and counting, plus found some success as a mobile notary and loan signing agent. So incredible access to expertise on today's call. So I encourage you to raise your hand. Use the Zoom feature to raise your hand. That's the best way to keep this organized and flowing. Then as you ask your question, please tell us what state you're in. Then you can mute after asking your question directly, and we will be happy to answer that. Who's talking? Is that me? Oh, no, that's probably Diane, huh, Judy? The soft talker. All right, so let's kick it off. Sue Wetzel, thanks for being here. Would you like to unmute, tell everybody what state you're in and how we can help? Sue Wetzel. Sue Wetzel going once. She's probably looking for the mute button on her phone. Can't find it. Don't worry, Sue. I'm going to keep you up there. Larry in California, thanks for being here. How can we help?
Hey, everyone. I have a question, actually two questions. One of them is I'm doing a seller package tomorrow, and the property and the deed are from Nevada. And I have always, when I'm notarizing something from out of state, if I don't see everything that sort of confirms to California, I just automatically go with an insert. But I've also been hearing lately, as I talk to people in different groups, that it's okay for an acknowledgement for a California notary to use other states' acknowledgements. And I wondered if anyone could confirm that. And the other question, is it really a question, kind of a question in this package? There is also a document where I have to put in the seller or the signer's information, ID information and all that. And then it asks for all my information, like my phone number, my address, and I'm not happy with that. I mean, I don't see why I should be giving people my address. That's why I have the moat, keep them away. I just wonder, is that standard? Would that be bad to leave that blank or put in A where they want my address? I mean, I know that my phone number is out there, but this other information feels unnecessary and intrusive.
All right, Larry, great. Two questions. I'm going to let Laura Biewer kick us off since you're both in California. Laura, his first question was about the acknowledgement use in California from other states. You want to kick us off, and you are on mute, just so you know.
Okay, I have dogs barking, so I tried to wait till they're done. Love this question because the answer is layered. If you're talking about just the law says in California that you may use an out-of-state acknowledgement. It does not need to have all the elements that we do. However they build their acknowledgement is fine with us. What you need to watch out for is representative capacity. And the way you recognize that would be seeing that they're signing on behalf of somebody else or an entity or a company, and they probably have a title, right? Laura, attorney in fact for Scott, Laura, trustee for the Biewer Family Trust, Laura, vice president of TNT, right? Those are examples of what you would look for. And if you find that, and it's asking you to certify, then the answer is no, you must replace it. But the elements themselves are not a requirement. Those are California requirements. So it does take reading the certificate to look for what the issue could be. And it does mean that you always want to be sure that it is going out of state. And if you're doing a seller's packet and the house is in Nevada, you know, stuff's going out of state. So it's pretty obvious, but it's not always obvious. Now, the layering part is, you know, at first, when notaries are newer, they just default and replace it with California. And there is a federal reciprocity, I can't think of the statute it is, but that says we will reciprocate. We will honor any legally performed notarization in another state when it comes to my state, right? California, even as rough as we can be, we accept acknowledgements from other states. But here's the deal. I wouldn't make that my habit because you never grow. You never really learn how to decide if it's usable or not, if you always default to just slipping in your own. That's one reason I don't think it's a good idea, because you really need to learn to read the certificates and tell whether or not it's asking you to certify it, or they're just named that way in the document, or they just swore that they had that capacity. It's a very, it's nuanced. It's the way it's worded in the certificate. The other part of that, what was the other part of that? Oh, is that as you get comfortable with that, you can let go of the extra piece of paper when you know how to read it And you can say, you know what, I know there's a title in there, but it's not asking me to certify that title. So it's still okay for me to use, rather than, oh, I'm not sure. And then you become really internally resourceful with that. The other thing is about your being asked for your notary information. I don't know about you, Larry, but I'm pretty public. I'm a public servant. My information is everywhere. I advertise. My phone number's everywhere. My business address is everywhere. So I don't have an issue with filling that out. And what it is that so that it's easier for them to come back to the notary rather than having to go to the Secretary of State site to go look you up, where they can find your information anyways. So I don't have a problem with doing it. Now, Matt, you're in California. You've handled these kinds of documents. Do you have concerns about filling out your part?
I fill it out. I understand there is hesitation, but what I do is I have a business address in addition to my home address. So I use my business address on those types of forms, and my publicly recognized address with the Secretary's office is also my business address. So that's how I avoid giving out my home address. But as Laura said, you're a public official, so your information is public record anyway. And then to follow up to Laura's explanation on the acknowledgement, absolutely right. I do the same thing, read the acknowledgement. If it doesn't violate any of our rules, then I use it. But just keep in mind, for a jurat, there are no exceptions. It always must be a California jurat.
All right, awesome clarification. Larry, that was a very detailed response. Did you get what you needed? All right, awesome. I see a nodding head. That was great. Thank you so much. All right, Sue Wetzel, are you ready for us yet? Are you ready for that mute button? Wait a few seconds. Don't worry, Sue. There's one on every call. You get to be that one today. We'll come back to you. iPhone Michelle, thanks for being here. How can we help? What state are you in first? Sorry. iPhone Michelle Gordon.
Hi.
There you are. Hi.
Hi. I'm from New Jersey.
All right. Welcome.
My question, thank you for taking my call. My question is, you sent out the email for Judy Yellow Group training. I took Judy class in 21 and got her certification. Is that a continuing educational training, or is that for somebody who knew and wanted to take the course?
Good question.
Just a bit clarification on that.
Yeah, you bet. Well, we've got the boss here, Judy. So Michelle took your training back in 2021, and you are on mute, by the way, Judy, just so you know.
We're going to offer a lot of things to people who took the training back in 21 and 22. There will be certain things that will be relevant to people who are signing up now, but what Bill posted for the advanced study hall Thursday night, we're offering to everyone. It's going to be really a lot of good information, and so the link is there, and you are more than welcome to come in. We have changed things up a bit, but we are going to still try to include my students, even though it was a while ago. We're still going to try to include you in things that I think are important and that you could learn from.
Great, thanks. So again, bear with me, just for clarification, I could join this Yellow Group training that Bill just sent out, correct?
Well, you're as a student, you will qualify to join the Yellow Group. Yes. So what I need you to do is text me so that I move you into that list.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. You're welcome.
Great. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Judy. Appreciate that. Guys, I just want to also mention real quick, because we've got a special event, a live in-person event happening in Dallas, Frisco on April 15th. If you're anywhere near Texas and you'd like to hang out with me, with Laura Biewer, Jennifer Neitzel, Judy Lawrence, and Sarand Mayweathers, that's the full lineup for the Evolve Notary Summit on April 15th. I'm going to post a link to register for that. We're getting pretty close to that. I think that's, what is that, Laura? Just 3 weeks away?
A little over 3 weeks away. Pretty excited. Got my tickets.
I'm excited too. I've never been to Texas.
What?
I've never been to
Did you
Texas.
see all those heads? You should have seen all those heads snap.
I've never been to Texas, so I'm excited, and I hope that a lot of you will join us for this event. Sharon usually makes a really great event. She's a wonderful person, and get your tickets and come on to Texas.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And if you happen to be a Notary Business Builder member, Laura and I and Judy are going to be, and Jen, of course, are going to host you for a special brunch on the following day on Sunday. We're going to take you out to a great place that Jen found at the Cowboys Training Center. So if you get a ticket to the Evolve Summit, you can join us for breakfast the next day as well on us. All right, Maribel, thank you so much for being here. What state are you in and how can we help?
Hi,
Hi.
can you hear me? Oh, okay. From California. So I was a notary 20 years ago, and I just recently got my second commission in December. So I'm working on signing up with signing services, and I don't know how to put, like, do I say that I was a notary 20 years ago, or do I include that as part of my experience, or do I start off like I'm brand new again?
Great question. I love that. Let's, Matt, I'd love to hear your perspective on this first.
Yeah, I think experience matters. You know, you've been a notary before, and I think you should mention that and maybe talk specifically about what your duties were as a notary then, but I wouldn't discount it.
Great suggestion. Judy, would you have some advice for
I
Maribel?
would do that. I agree with Matt on that one. I think, you know, you were a notary, there was time in between, but experience counts. And
Okay.
I think that, you know, if said correctly, everybody takes a break or has something to do, that their family or something like that. And I would just say it carefully and perhaps say, you know, I'm excited to be back in the notary community and something like that. And yeah, I say welcome back.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Great suggestion, Judy. And for me, I think you can absolutely include all of your collective experience. In fact, I almost wouldn't even, I mean, the notary experience is one thing, but what's going to help you stand out in this business is everything else that makes you who you are. All the other experience, the personality, the customer service skills. So that whatever filled the gap between your first commission and this commission, that's what I'd probably talk more about. Laura, what do you think?
No, I agree pretty much with what everybody said.
All right, there's a ditto, Maribel. Was that helpful?
All right. Yeah. So also I've been working for, you know, in the same industry in financial services throughout this whole time. And then I've had, like you, I've had business, like side hustles in between. So should I include all that?
Well, let's clarify when you talk about that. First, never on
Okay.
your initial contact because people don't
Yeah.
care. So if you bombard them with that all about you, then that's misstep number one, right? So you're just signing up is just signing up. Where you can absolutely talk about everything that makes you you would be on your website About Me page, on your LinkedIn narrative or your LinkedIn essay. And I think when I think about what helped me connect the most to people, it was some of the most vulnerable pieces, like sharing about being a serial entrepreneur. Like so many people could relate to that. Even my clients could relate to that. Failing at those businesses helped me relate differently. So it opened the door to a deeper conversation than just the normal kind of stale stuff that you usually see on people's profiles. So I would absolutely weave that story into your experience and then tell why that makes you such a good candidate for this role because you have tripped, you have diverse experience, you know customer service because of this, you know attention to detail because of this, you know compliance because you worked in the financial industry and it's one of the most regulated industries in the world, right? So all of those things you can weave into a story.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Welcome back to the industry. Glad you're here.
Thank you.
All right.
Yes.
Yes.
Before we go to the next person, Sue Wetzel posted her
Oh,
question,
great.
and it was asking me to talk a little bit about the e-journal.
Yeah.
And so I'd love to share a minute or two on that. I use an e-journal. The one I use is from Jurat Inc. I've been using it for just under 18 months, and I will not go back to paper. It saved my hands. I have arthritis in my hands, and it was just getting more and more difficult as I do package like trusts with a lot of notarizations. And so that was my first reason. Second reason is that it cut my performance time, meaning instead of taking an hour to do a 2-person trust, I'm able to do it in about 40 minutes, sometimes 35 minutes, and a 1-person trust in about 25 minutes. Same thing with loan signings. And, you know, some of those just have really, like they might have 10 notarizations times 2 people. So I love the how it shortened up my time frame to deal with the recording so that I had actually more space within the time that I was there to focus on the signers themselves, rather than trying to remember, did I get everything in there? The other thing that I love is you don't have to worry about if your handwriting's messy or not messy because it's all printed. And if you have to print a journal entry, you don't do it from the app, but you can't do it from the web page if that is needed. And Jurat Inc., I know there's more than one e-journal out there, but Jurat Inc. does 2 things that I don't believe the other ones do. One is that they have a thumbprinting device so that in California, we can collect thumbprints. And then that's optional in the other states because nobody else requires that but us. The other thing that it does is, was there thumbprints? And was there one? The other thing is about the security, because I think we're all really nervous about, you know, everybody and his mother's had a breach. There is something called SOC or SOC, and he has applied and successfully achieved SOC 1 certification, SOC 2 certification, which is the same things that the NNA did to protect their membership data. And so for me, if I'm going to pick an e-journal, I pick this one because of the effort that he has put in to make sure that data is secure. And finally, because Nick, who answers the phone, he's the owner, when I say, hey, I just used the signature by mark feature, but here's the issue I have with it. I don't need you to require the address of that signer. Can you make it optional so that those states it's not required can skip it, and those states it is required, they can collect it? And boom, you know, he was just on it. So the response, the customer support is excellent. So those are all the reasons why I would do that. I think Bill probably posted in the chat. If you want to access information, there's a trial available.
Absolutely. And you can find that at coachmelaura.com as well. There's a link from Laura's website, plus what I just posted in the chat window for you. And, you know, all of those things are super cool. There's a cool factor. Yeah. It's secure, it's efficient, but Laura touched on one of the most valuable components of this in a relationship-based business. It frees her mind at the appointment. So instead of head down in paperwork or thinking about all the stuff she has to do, she can stay present with the signer and cultivate a deeper relationship. And that's the most powerful component of the whole thing, I think. Thank you, Laura. And thank you, Sue, for bringing that question up. That was great. Tracy Stahl, hello. We know you're
hello there.
Hi.
Thank you for sharing that, Laura. That was good information. And also thank you, Judy, for what you're doing with the NBB. So I came across something to notarize. It's the statement of consent, issuance of a U.S. passport to a child. Yeah. And I remember, Laura, I think it was you that said something about this form, that there's an incorrect one and a correct one online somewhere.
Yes.
How do we know that it's the correct one?
The effective date at the top.
Effective date.
So you're going to want one that's effective I think the old one is 2019 and the new one is 2023.
It's the upper right-hand corner, Tracy.
It says expires 12/31/2023.
It's the expiration date. So
Okay,
if you want the one that's the most current and 19 is the old one. The other way you can
Okay.
tell is that the old one, the format's just slightly different. And at the bottom, there's an oath for the notary to take. That's now gone because that was incorrect and illegal thing for us to do.
okay, gotcha. And then one more thing, on that form, there's a notary seal where you're supposed to put the notary seal.
Yeah.
They wrote notary, typed in notary
Yes.
seal. There's really not a lot of room. Is it okay to do it sideways on that?
Oh, yeah, I do vertical.
Okay.
I use a mini stamp and I do it vertically.
Okay, that's what I did. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, great questions, Tracy. Laura, I think that's a perfect segue to talk about the real world replay library that you offer as well.
So one of the things I do to help people grow their competence and confidence in their notary business is to really break down these kinds of concerns by state specific. So I've written about 26 different states so far. And in them, I review the performance, like your identification and your journaling requirements, if you have them. And then we spend the other half looking at everyday common documents that might be presented to me. How do I read it? How do I decide what to do with it? And that particular document is one of the ones I use because it's so difficult for notaries. It's so difficult for notaries to navigate some of these things because sometimes they make up stuff, they put illegal stuff, they have an incomplete certificate. Sometimes you just really can't even tell what it is. So I really go through about 12 different examples of how you deal with this, acts that aren't even in your state. And if that sounds like something that you would benefit from, I recorded them and you'll find them on my website, which is coachmelora.com/the word real, REAL. And then look for the icon for your state. All the big states are done. I'm just slowly getting through some of the smaller ones.
Yeah. At the beginning of this call, do you remember what Laura's mission was? To help you boost your competence and your confidence in this business that you love. And this is one of the main ways that she can do that. Those real world trainings are super popular as well, guys. At Notary Business Builder, we worked to make this a one-stop shop. NBB is one-stop shop where it includes all this. It includes all the replays, every state of the real world. It includes Laura Biewer Presents, her training and replay library. It includes Sign and Thrive. It includes Notary Assist. It includes the advanced features of the Tom app. All of that in one place. So if you want to check that out, check it out at notarycoach.com. Sharon Brake, it's so great to see you on today's call. I know you're in California. How can we help today?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I just needed a refresher. I think I know the answer, but I just want to be certain.
Sure.
So I have a buyer-seller package. I'm meeting with the seller who's going to sign, let's say today, the buyer is going to sign in a couple of weeks. The signature date next will have to be today's date, because that's the date I'm meeting with the seller to sign the documents. And that's the date I'm going to put in my notary certificate. The document date is dated, like I said, for 2 weeks later. Is that correct? The signature date on the document would have to be today's date because that's the date I'm meeting with the seller.
Yeah, I'm sure, Laura, there's probably some clarifying questions you might have for Sharon. You want to jump in there?
So Sharon, I want to make sure that we're clear about the signature to the document versus I should say the date to the document versus the date to your certificate. Your certificate without fail will always be the date you met with your signer. That's just a hard and fast rule for everybody all the time. It never changes. It always reflects when you met with the signer, whether it's virtual or whether it's in person. Now, the date on the document, however, may or may not be the same. And on an acknowledgement, as long as it's the same date or prior, it's really not, it's part of the document. So it's not our issue if they want it to be, an earlier date. Because it's not reflective of when I met them. My certificate is reflective of when I met them.
Okay, but the date that on on the document that I'm notarizing and they're dating next to their signature, that's the date I'm concerned about.
Yes,
have to
I'm
be the s-
talking, yeah, I'm talking about that date. And if they're signing, they're gonna sign the date that they're signing it in front of you. So it's gonna have
Okay.
to match. However, what I'm talking about is that sometimes they're pre-printed, the dates are pre-printed. Maybe it was gonna happen a couple of days ago and it didn't. And they
Mhm.
tell you, don't change that signature date. I don't have to have them change that signature date as long as my date is correct. Now, the only
Okay.
time that's a problem for me is if it's a jurat, then they do have to fix the date so it matches my date.
Okay, on a jurat.
On a jurat, they must.
Yeah.
also match.
Okay, right. All right, that makes sense. So the signature date can be a different date.
As long as it's
But-
not in the future, it cannot be any further than the date I'm meeting them.
Okay, so then it has to, for an acknowledgement, I'm not speaking about a jurat, I understand
Right.
that clearly, but an acknowledgement, it has to be the same date, the signature date has to match what's in my certificate.
And that's not what I said.
Okay, maybe I misunderstood you. I guess I did, yeah.
So what I said is that it may match if they happen to be physically affixing the signature at the moment when you're with them. Then they would be signing the same date. However, Sharon, have you ever seen packages where they have pre-printed dates at the signature line? There are a few days.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, what I'm saying is I don't make them fix that date
Okay, unless it's a jurat.
unless it's a jurat.
Okay, okay, got it. Thank you.
Awesome. Great question.
I know it's a little, you really have to think about it. It's just not that easy.
Awesome. Thank you, Sharon. Phil, great to see you on today. What's going on?
Welcome, everybody. It's great to see these wonderful entrepreneurs. For those who are not aware, Bill, Laura, and I had a conversation about an hour ago or so, and we've got some things planned for specifically giving you some information on how the services have been of value to them and to so many other notaries. So look out for that. We're working on that. We're going to try to have some times and dates for you down the road. But also, I want to welcome everybody to rainy, stormy, windy, ugly California. Because as Laura's probably smiling and others, I see Larry from San Francisco, Debbie, this has been crazy. And we're moving to Bill so we can get some nice warm weather. California's been very different. But I want to invite all of you to join me 5 minutes after Tuesday Notary Titans. I'll talk about how you can protect and grow your business. I know Bill's probably putting that in the chat as we speak. I'll also put my number in the chat if you want to text me, if that's a little easy. We're going to be able to talk about two really important things. Not only the substantial discount that the affiliate has right now because of the our international conventions about a week. I'll be in Charlotte, North Carolina. I saw Carrie on here. I see a few, there she is. I'll be in Charlotte, North Carolina, the 29th through the 1st. Really looking forward to that. But that promotion is about to end because of that. But also, I just got permission to extend the notary discount pricing. Many of you know as a notary, you get some substantial discounts. I can combine that with the affiliate. So I look forward to seeing you 5 minutes after TNT ends. So thanks again, Bill, Laura. Great to see Bill. Great to see Matt. Great to see Judy and all the wonderful folks here. Hope to see you guys in about 30 minutes or so. Thanks a lot.
I'm sure you will. Thanks a lot, Phil. Appreciate you. All right. iPhone Michelle, Gordon, Heiderkin, thank you so much for coming back up. How can we help?
Oh, maybe I didn't lower my hands. My apologies.
No, that could be my bad. All right. We got you covered. Now let me lower that hand. There we go. Hey, Debbie. Nice to see you again this morning.
Thank you. So I did, I sent an Apostille document off to a courier that lives in Sacramento. And she gave me some feedback that I should be stapling. So I attached acknowledgement certificates. And she said to staple them on front of the documents instead of back. And I've always done them on the back. So I'm curious, is it because it's an Apostille document going to Italy, or should I be stapling when I attach a certificate in the front?
Wow, we've got some nodding heads in this group. Matt, I saw your head nodding first. You want to jump in there? Since you share
Yeah,
a state with Debbie.
yeah. Hey, Debbie, I actually spoke about this morning to that same courier.
Perfect.
But yeah, when you're sending something for an apostille, the reason that she's suggesting you put your certificate on the front of the document is because the secretary is going to put their certificate on top of your certificate. So if you can imagine, when that's on the back, they're going to insert that, and it kind of causes the document to be a little bit wonky.
Okay,
Further, when your client receives that document and the apostille is right on top, it just makes it look much more official and professional. And so I've been doing that now for the past several years, and it just makes everything go a lot smoother. So that's why we do that.
Nice.
did you maybe advise her to unstaple it and put it on the top?
No. Once it's stapled, do not remove the staple.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Judy, would you have anything that you would add to that?
I never put my anything on the top. I've just never done that. And none of my documents have ever been rejected. So I'm thinking maybe two things. Either I should take that as a good piece of advice and start putting it on the top, or it's a California thing. And I don't know. So I'm perfectly happy if Laura or Matt tells me, is that a California thing, or is that anywhere and everywhere?
Yeah, good question.
I do it the same way. I put it on top.
Okay.
It was at the advice of the one that I use, which is a different one in Sacramento. But I can't say
Right.
if it's a California thing.
Right.
Well-
I will dig into that. I will find out. I will ask my,
I
My
agree
second-
with what Matt was describing, which is how that packet is assembled. And I think that's really what we want to think about.
right,
Having their certificate, then my certificate, and then their document.
right. I mean, it makes sense.
The logic rings true. I mean, that makes sense to
It
me. Yeah.
does. It
All right.
does.
Love it. Well, great. That was a learning experience for us all. Deb.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you. Sue, is this a new question or the same one? She's not able to unmute, so I'll keep you there just in case, but just type your question in the chat. Brashana Chambers, thank you for being here. What state are you in and how can we help?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, sure can. Welcome.
Awesome. Yes, I'm in Oklahoma, and I had a question about our state laws and how to get them changed for the better. So in Oklahoma, the last time they updated their laws, the statutes Title 49 for Oklahoma Notary Public is back in 1985. And then the next time they updated was back in 2020, but that was only to add Ron. So how would I go by getting those updated?
Yeah, I love this question, Brashana. Thank you for bringing it. And yeah, we've got a great expert at your disposal here. Matt, what advice would you give a notary who wants to see some legislative changes in their state?
Yeah, I think this is a great question. And it's certainly something that all notaries should be looking into. The first thing, Brashana, I would think about is what kind of changes you'd like to see made, and then start thinking about why those changes need to be made, or in other words, how they would better help protect the public. A lot of times when notaries start thinking about, oh, I want to change laws or I want to update laws, it comes from a very self-serving position. And while, law changes can help notaries, the first thing we need to think about as public officials, and the purpose of the Office of Notary Public, is how those changes would help better serve the public. So that's where I would get started. And then once you have an idea of what kind of changes you'd like to see and why and how they would help serve the public, then you can start to reach out to your state level lawmakers, your assembly members or House rep members, your Senate members, and see if you can get a lawmaker to take up your cause and submit a bill that would enforce or implement those changes. But these things take time. So don't get frustrated or give up along the way, because sometimes these types of changes can take years to implement or get passed. But if you start thinking about those things now, then maybe in a few years from now, you might see those changes become law.
Great advice, Matt. I love how you talk about the benefit to the public, because that's what's going to get their attention. And the other thing that was surprising, I think a lot of citizens in general don't realize, is that access to your representatives is a little easier than you think. You can they'll take your call, they'll set up meetings with you, especially when you have a clear agenda that you want to discuss. So if you're interested in that, Brashana, definitely move forward, because what Matt also shared, and I've seen lots of movements to try to change things, but it can be exhausting. Just as Matt said, it takes time, and there's the bureaucracy and the process of how everything runs. So it helps if you have some support. So part of what I think, even obviously what Matt does, right? He's got the California League of Independent Notaries. So he's got a force behind him now. So even in Oklahoma, you can start building your network of notaries that will help support whatever ideas you have. Anybody else, Laura, Matt, Judy, that you would add to that conversation?
I would add that, to look to see who has started grassroots in their own state and make connections with them, because there's no sense in reinventing the wheel if they already understand how to make that approach. And so I know, for instance, Clint, you don't have to be a California notary to take advantage of the resources that Matt's developed.
Yeah. Absolutely. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. Love it, Brashana. Was that helpful?
It was very helpful. Thank you so much.
All right. No problem. Thanks for being here. And then Sue Wetzel, I saw her post her second question here about when shopping competition, what they charge for an apostille. Sue, I think that's an interesting question as well. Judy, what do you say when somebody's just starting out and they want to set their pricing for their apostille services?
I tell them to do some research in their area and figure out what the market bears in their area, because it's different everywhere. I can't charge what someone charges in New York, and in someone else, I just tell them what the market bears, what others are charging. You got to be competitive. And if you're brand new and you don't yet really have your footing, then it might be a good idea to charge a little bit less and get 2 or 3 clients and get a little bit of experience, and then maybe charge a little more. But I think most importantly, if you know what's going on around you and you know what the market bears around you, stay in that area. And don't try to be, I'm going to charge $1 million more just because I want to, because you won't get the business, but more importantly, you won't get the experience. And you need the experience. You need to learn the business. That's what I think. But
yeah,
that
great. So here's the cool thing. I love this question, and we've got 3 experts for this. Laura, I'd like to go to you next, though, because I think pricing strategy is such a big component of this whole thing, and you speak to that so well.
So I think part of what Judy is saying is correct. There's some research that has to go on to say, what are people paying for that? And what's the range that's happening there? But I cannot just say, okay, that's what I'll charge somewhere in there. I have to look at what my own expenses are to handle this kind of work. Am I getting everything back myself? Am I using a courier? Is that expense? Am I going to be paying for the FedEx or not? Because for instance, for myself, I pay part of that out to somebody who walks it in for me for a courier, and she's handling the FedEx and the Secretary of State fees. So I've got a big chunk coming out of that for me. So it's convenient and easy for me to facilitate. Somebody else may be doing the whole thing, and now you've got however long you've got to drive there. You might have to drive there more than once. And plus you've got the hard cost of your gas and your car usage. So I think you have to take a look at what does it cost you to do that to make sure that you even can be, price competitive in the market. So make sure you don't just look at the market, but you look to see what is it going to cost you to do this as well. And then you can take a look at how that compares to what other people are doing out there, and then fit yourself in from there and then adjust. So this is really different than loan signings where they tell you, what they're going to pay. This is, I'm going to tell you what my fee is, right? And so, I always make sure I let them know the scope of what's happening. Meaning I might have to notarize their document. I may have to travel to them. I'm going to take care of a cover sheet. I need to get it into the Secretary of State's office. I have to go back if it's not counter service where they allow you to walk it back out the same day and then get it back to you. There's a lot of different moving parts to this that cost money and time.
And I agree with everything
happening.
Yeah.
I agree with everything you're saying, but I still have to go back and say, if you go real crazy off the wall with charging, you won't get the business and you won't get the experience. And so, of course, you're going to look at your expenses and all that. But some people think that because this business is not state mandated, they can just charge anything they want. And that's not so. So there has to be a middle of the line. And I just think it's important to not go so far out or so far crazy that you won't get any business. I mean, that's how it was here for me. I stayed at one level for a while. And then when I saw that I knew what I was doing and I saw that things were happening, I kept increasing my prices. But I still could not, no matter what it cost me, I could not charge the same thing as, like, say, people in New York. I mean, I see their prices and I'm astounded. But then again, as I tell my students, if I went for a bagel and a cup of coffee in New York, it's $30. So, and if you have that same bagel and that same cup of coffee here, it's about $8. So all of their pricing is so high that they can do that. So I think I do agree with everything you said, but I also think you have to really know what's going on in your own neck of the woods.
Well, that absolutely. And I think that's what I let off with this, when you do the
Right.
research for your own area, so you know what flies in your area.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you just say, okay, I'm going to charge that, and you
Right.
don't know what it costs you to do it, you may be upside down doing the work without realizing it. So I think that's the
I
piece
agree with that.
that's really important.
Yeah, absolutely. Great suggestions here. Matt, would you have any frosting for that cake?
Yeah, I mean, they're both 100% right. You can't price gouge, obviously, but you gotta recover your own costs. You can't do this as a charity. But something else to consider when you're setting your prices is that, for example, here in California, it costs me $26 for an apostille, whereas in Maryland, for example, it costs me $2. But to ship it there and back is going to cost me more than to get it Sacramento and back. And then something else to consider, and this is something I learned from Judy, which is you got to consider your time, because if you're doing work for states that you don't normally do work for, you got to do a little research, and that's valuable too. So don't forget about taking care of yourself as well as your expenses.
Yeah, great suggestions here. Don't go anywhere, Matt, because I want you to touch on two things right there, because that was interesting. If you're on today's call and you're considering the apostille opportunity, what Matt just said is you might do apostilles for other states. So Matt, is there any geographical boundaries to being an apostille agent?
None. You can do work for any state, any embassy, any consulate, anywhere in the world. So that's one of the benefits of this business, is you're not restricted like you are with your notary commission.
Awesome. And then Judy, I'll bounce this question over to you then. Can you do this in all 50 states? Do they allow apostille facilitation?
Yes, they do. And sometimes you have to reach out for help. Sometimes it doesn't pay you to do it yourself. Sometimes it pays you, like Laura said, to get someone to help you that's closer than you are, or you know, if you're not close at all. So we have a courier system, and you can just go in there and search for a courier in wherever, and tell that courier what you need, and that courier will tell you what it will cost you for he or she to do the job, to get the job done. Because if you want, if me in Pennsylvania, if I was going to do something in Utah, by the time my documents would get there, and then I don't know what Utah, I just made it up. I don't know what their turnaround time is. But by the time they would do the job and then get it back to me, I would rather use a courier that lives 2 minutes from the Secretary of State. Let he or she go do the job, get the documents back to me, and I'm getting my work done. So couriers are big right now. They're making money. They will tell you right up front, I can do this in 2 days, or I can, you know, my place, I think in Tallahassee, you have to take it one day and pick it up the next day. In Pennsylvania, I'm really fortunate because so far, and I got my fingers crossed, you know, we go up, we hand them the documents, we go out for a cup of coffee, we go back, and those documents are all done. If it changes one day, it'll change. But right now, you know, we can expedite because we can get things done really quickly. So I encourage you all to think about one thing. It takes a village sometimes. It's not always, you're not giving up that I can't do this myself. Yes, you can do it yourself, but it's quicker and probably more efficient to get someone to help you that is closer and can help you get the job done on a more expedited basis. You know, that doesn't mean you're not smart enough to do it by yourself or good enough to do it by yourself. It means, yeah, it takes a village sometimes. And if somebody's right there and can run them in and run them out and get them right back to you overnight, then you have to do it that way.
Yeah.
You
Great.
guys agree?
Great advice. Yeah, this is a service that is easily scalable because of the increasing network of other, and I know we use the word courier. Essentially, all that is, though, is apostille facilitators or apostille agents in other states that know how to do the work. They're just closer to the Capitol building to help you facilitate those. So that's a whole network. That's why if you're going to do this, like check out Matt and Judy's book, the Apostille Agent Survival Guide. If you're teasing this out, wondering if this is a good fit, just start with the book. It's $2.99 on Kindle. You can also get the paperback if you want to. Just go to allaboutapostilles.com or find it on Amazon. Start there, get dialed in. There's a whole network. There's a whole industry happening there of support, courier services, and other types of coaching and support to help you build a business as an apostille agent. Thank you all three for chiming in on that one. Carla Carr, thank you so much for being here. What state well, you're in California. How can we help?
Hello, Bill. Well, thank you, Bill and Laura, for all those golden nuggets that I've been jotting down for so many meetings that I've attended. And I purchased your book, Judy. So there's another venue that I'm going to start reading. Before I can offer the product, I need to really research it and read it thoroughly. But here is my dilemma or my question to you. I do homebound services to assisted living. And 2 months ago, I got a call from Hawaii to do a power of attorney to an assisted living because they got my card. So I asked all these questions that if the person has the proper identification, if they can sign, and yes, all lined out. And I kept in contact, and the time came. I went to the assisted living where it's the same place where I do my homebound. I found out that the person that I am doing the power of attorney is the same person that I visit in the home and the assisted living. Now, this is my dilemma. Her hands was trembling, and she can hardly vocalize all this question. It is a uniform statutory form power of attorney. And in parentheses, it says California Probate Code Section 4401. I don't know if you're familiar with that form or not. Now, she was going through the A to N. The N says all of the powers listed above if she agrees on all of it. She did not agree on the letter B, that's tangible personal property transaction. She insisted she did not want to initial that. However, she needs to initial all of it except for letter B, but her hands was not stable enough. I stayed with her for at least 2 hours until I stopped it. I said, we need to get a credible witness for this because she can't do it. I need someone to witness her signing this.
By the street, I always see these
So tough situation, Carla. What I'm gonna bring Laura up to answer this. What specifically is the question that you have?
The question is that the next day I came back and we got the 2 witnesses, and it was the head of the nursing and person that's taking care of her, and initial all that needs to be done. Now I found out she is now in hospice. My question is that she really was not able to initial it. All she did was just putting X boxes on it, on all of it.
So you use the signature by mark.
Correct.
Or was it signature by proxy?
Right. But I had 2 credible witnesses that was helping her with her hand.
Okay, got it. And what is the specific?
My question is, would that stand? I'm just making sure because she's now in hospice.
I see. Laura, what feedback do you have for Carla on this?
So let's just be clear with our terminology first. A signature by mark process, which means she used a mark instead of her signature on all those boxes, and a mark for her signature, requires 2 signature by mark witnesses, not credible witnesses. Credible witnesses are human IDs. So that's what we use when somebody doesn't have appropriate ID. When we have an issue with the signature, we call them a signature by mark. And in our state, California, you were required to have 2 who signed underneath the signature line as witnesses, and one of them printed her name, so we know what the mark means, and then you repeated that in the journal. That would be your process for that. In terms of would that be considered the legal execution of that document? Absolutely, it's acceptable as long as you followed the process, and hospice doesn't have anything to do with it. If she was alert and aware enough at the time you met with her, and you followed the signature by mark process that I just described, that is a perfectly legally signed and notarized power of attorney. And it doesn't matter now, because what it does now is if she's incapable at this point, whoever she named can now speak for her and sign for her. Does that make sense?
It does, but I use the credible witness form and not signature by mark.
Well, there is no credible witness form in California.
Okay.
So I'm not sure what form you used.
I used the witness by 1 or 2 on the form.
As you found a signature, we don't even have a signature by mark form in California. Are you saying, all right, so
the credible witness 1 or 2 witness?
No, yeah, and you're talking about credible witnesses.
Correct.
That's 1 or 2. So what you should have done is you should have had 2 people signing that document that watched her make the mark and printing her name next to the mark. Did you do that?
Yes.
Okay, beautiful. That's what everybody else is going to see. In your journal, did you have them repeat that where she made a mark and at least one of those 2 witnesses signed in the journal, like in the additional information? Okay, so your procedure was perfectly fine. So there
Okay.
shouldn't be any reason for non-acceptance of that document.
Okay. All right. Thank
Okay,
you.
but
I
for
just-
everybody else listening, it was really important that I clarify the right kind of witnesses, the right terminology, so somebody else doesn't get confused.
Okay.
Okay,
Awesome.
I just want to rest assured that I did the right thing. Thank you, Laura.
you're welcome.
Sounds like you're on, Carla. Thanks for being here. All right, that brings us up a minute past the hour. You have 4 minutes to meet Phil on his call. You can just go to notarycoach.com/TNT, scroll to the bottom and the Zoom link is there. Plus you can just text Phil as well. So let me thank our special guest, Judy Lawrence from the Lawrence Institute for Notaries. Thank you so much for being here. Matt Miller, founder of the California League of Independent Notaries. Thank you for being here and hosting today. That was great conversation for you both. From you both, thank you. And Laura Biewer from CoachMeLaura.com. Thank you as usual, guys. We will see you same time, same place next Tuesday. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.